Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. I do this each and every day, and I'm going to keep doing it because they were there for my wife and myself. Literally, I had a water issue that they did a great job getting rid of. The complex, because we owned a property that had an association, was supposed to take care of the rest. They did not. Water Cleanup of Florida did not leave me hanging. They were there for my wife and I the entire way. They will do the same thing for you. Just give them a call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 954-579-0356. Personally, I would start with leak area. Don't let, if you see something on the ceiling, something on the wall, do not let it linger. Call that number, 954-579-0356 today. They'll come out, they'll assess it, they'll fix it, and because of their licensed, certified, insured contractors, they will make it look brand new. And it won't become a big deal. You handle it early, it'll get solved swiftly. And thanks to Water Cleanup of Florida, it'll get solved in a way you never knew it existed. 954-579-0356. WCUFL.com, at Water Cleanup FL on all the socials. Plus, Google. Lots and lots and lots of 5-star reviews. Over 70 5-star reviews on Google. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have schmutz, they have the guts. We haven't talked much heat. We're talking heat today as the NFL playoffs are upon us. The college football season has finished. The Miami Heat are a game over 500. The Miami Heat are in the playoff picture. The Miami Heat have played better of late, but it's been a really strange season for the Miami Heat. Today we talked with Heavy.com, NBA writer, senior NBA writer, NBA insider, and content editor guy that's actually been reporting a lot on the Heat. Sean Deveney joined us today on the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Talk all things Heat and some NBA.
We welcome to the show one of our favorites talking basketball here, and always great, from Heavy.com, longtime NBA insider and writer, Sean Deveney joins us here on the program. Sean, how are you, my friend? Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Defo. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because you don't realize it. Well, we've been kind of zeroing in on football here and a lot of the things going on in the NFL and a college game. Here's pro basketball at the midway point, literally, with the Miami Heat at 21-20. Interesting array of storylines and a lot of stuff that looks like it could happen, but just hasn't quite materialized in terms of teams that are on a rise. What is your thought so far? I mean, what stands out to you about the first half in terms of storylines of the NBA season, Sean?
Well, I think there have been obviously some surprises and disappointments. I think the thing that probably stands out as the biggest disappointment has been the Warriors. Obviously, Steph Curry has been injured, but even before he got hurt, they were struggling. They didn't look the same. Their bench has been terrible. They're sitting at 500. Odd place for defending champs, especially. They're 3-16 on the road.
Yeah, horrible.
A tough thing to swallow. Yeah, I mean, the Hornets are 6-16. Orlando is 5-14. They've all got better records than the defending champs on the road. So that's probably the biggest, the biggest surprise. I think the Nets have been, a pleasant surprise in the Eastern Conference after a terrible start to the year. Of course, you could go through everything, right? Durant, Kyrie Irving, firing Steve Nash. Just everything that went sideways for them. They pulled it together. They've got to survive an injury to Kevin Durant's knee. We'll see how that goes. If they can, kind of maintain a little bit, then you've got to like where the Nets are. If they get Durant back, say by late February. But you've also got a lot of parity, and I think that's probably the overriding thing. That if you look at the number 4 seed and the number 8 seed where the Heat are, there's just 5 games separating them right now. So that's one of the things that stands out. It's much the same in the West as well.
Well, Sean, talking about the Heat, they were the runner-up in the Eastern Conference, one shot away, honestly, from making it back to NBA Finals for the second time in 3 years. I've actually seen you reporting a lot about the Heat for a team that's hovering around 500. To me, they remind me of the Warriors a little bit, where they're this veteran team. They're trying to make a run. They're sort of middling around. Where are you with the Heat at this point in the season as they just hit the halfway point?
Yeah, I think they need to make a deal. I think they know they need to make a deal, and there's no question that they're trying to make a deal. That the team that they have is probably it certainly can't go farther than it did last year. It could maybe match a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's most likely it's a second round team. Just when you look at the rest of the East, it seems like Cleveland, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, teams that have improved, and of course Boston, the way they play. So yeah, they're going to need to make a deal. They found it difficult to do. Obviously, they can't really trade Tyler Hero. One thing, he's played great, but for another thing, just because of the way his contract is, giving him that extension has pretty much limited the fact that their ability to trade him in the short term. So they're trying to find ways to improve. I think everybody thought they would go after a power forward, having lost PJ Tucker, but from what I'm hearing, they're open to making a trade that will upgrade anywhere, even if it's in the backcourt. Where there's going to be more players available, they'd be willing to do that. So, I think that's going to be the big thing to watch over the next month here is what does Miami do on the trade market? I think they know they've got to do something.
Sean Deveney with us, of course, the insider on the NBA for Heavy.com. I don't know if you want to crush Lubie right now on the show here, Sean, but I was reading speculation that the only way that the Heat could build themselves into championship material is to we may have to get a sound effect in here. I'll just do it myself for lack of production values on the show. Trade Jimmy Butler. Do they ever consider trading Jimmy Butler? Maybe not now, but at season's end, and say, we sort of have to, start building a different foundation here and get what we can for a guy who would be an asset to a team that was trying to make a championship run.
Yeah, and look, I like Jimmy Butler, and obviously as a playoff performer, he's as good as there is. But the thing about Jimmy Butler is everything about his game is difficult. Everything becomes difficultly to Jimmy. He's got to work hard for all his points, and he does. But it's not like watching Kevin Durant, right? It's not
No.
a game always for Jimmy Butler. So and a lot of teams know that he's got the extension, and that's probably the biggest obstacle for him at age 34, I believe it is. That signed for $45 million for next year, $49 million the following year, and $52 million. So and that's going to go into well into his mid-30s. So there's a lot of teams that look at that and look at the fact that Jimmy's got to work so hard for his points and say that's going to be a real bad contract in a year or two, and nobody's really going to want it. So the Heat have kind of made their bet with Jimmy Butler, and they're going to go as far as you take them. It's going to be really, really tough to trade him.
All right. I mean, one of the interesting teams in the league, the New Orleans Pelicans, who, it was suspect. I thought that they would even go ahead and commit to Zion Williamson. And, they have had injury problems all year long. Yet they've maintained themselves. I mean, if they had the full roster going, and you had Ingram, of course, has been out with a mysterious toe injury. Yeah. And could they possibly, I mean, if they get everybody back in order and maybe get to play the last quarter of the season together, is that a team that would be a little bit of a frightening proposition in the postseason?
Yeah, it's certainly it's the worst bruised toe I've ever heard of with Brandon Ingram. He's been out for I think a month and a half now with a toe contusion. And that's just to step back on the Pelicans, you look and all the good that you could say, and boy, if they were healthy, but they've built their team around players who have a hard time staying on the floor, with Zion and Brandon Ingram being number one on that list. So, it's hard to say that they'll ever be healthy. But having said that, Willie Green's done a great job, the coach there. And they've got a lot of really good role players. When you look at their bench comes in, and they really can change a game. That's been a real key for them. Guys like Larry Nance, Jose Alvarado's been really, really good for them. They come in and they can really change the game. They get after it. They play hard defensively. The starters, you got to give a lot of credit to CJ McCollum, of course, kind of the leader of that group. when they can get Zion and Brandon Ingram together, that'll be something to watch. We really haven't seen it much this year, but I think it's the role players, really that bench that's really been the difference maker for that team.
Sean, it's funny. You talk about the Heat sitting around the 8th seed. They've been bouncing between the 6th and 8th seed within striking distance of the 4. A team that made a huge move in the offseason out of nowhere. And look, Donovan Mitchell's been playing out of his mind and just literally scored 71 points with double-digit rebounds. He's really taken that team to a top 4 seed the entire season, and they played really strong. I'm sitting here watching the Cavs, and they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of young talent. And the East does seem to be wide open. You never know with the Nets. The Celtics even had their own struggles. How for real are the Cavs? I'm sitting here from a Heat purview, and I was very negative about them in the offseason. So far, it's been so good for Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think you would worry that maybe they've peaked too early, that this is a team that is going to look good during the regular season and probably flame out in the playoffs. That I just don't know that they can consistently play at the level that they have. You mentioned Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, he's been fantastic. But he goes through bumps, and certainly Utah saw that. He becomes easier to defend in the playoffs, and that's something that's the reason he's not in Utah anymore. So, I do think that they've been a very pleasant surprise. They're looking at the trade market as well to try to see what they can do to bolster what they have. I think Isaac Okoro, who's I think he was the number 5 pick or something in 2020. He's somebody who could be available if they can bring in a veteran. So, they're looking to take advantage of where they are right now. But I think they're another team that can look at the rest of the East and see that they're probably right now, a second round team in that neighborhood, that they need to do something else to get better.
Sean Deveney with us here on the show. Final thing, Sean, just some speculation here. Will LeBron James be in the league long enough not only to play with Bronny, but with Bronny's children?
Bronny's children.
Will he be like exceeding even Gordie Howe and play with like the entire family, including his grandchildren? The guy's still pretty amazing for 38. I know a lot of people are LeBron detractors. I happen to think he makes any team a contender, although, with the Lakers right now, that is not the case. But any team that he's on, obviously, is going to be better. And he doesn't seem to have lost much at 38 years old. Does he continue, much past this year, in your opinion? It seems like it's heading a Brady-like direction.
Yeah, I could certainly see him play another 3-4 years.
Wow.
I think it's a situation with him where, he's not going to be able to step back. And Dwayne Wade was sort of the same way. He wasn't able to kind of step in and just be a role player for somebody. He's kind of got to be LeBron, or he's got to be out of the league. And that's going to be the case with him. So he's going to go out that way. But I could see 3 more years. I could certainly see 3 more years. He could sit to the left. He's averaging 29 points. He's shooting over 50%. He's got 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, at the level he's playing at, he's still a top 20 player. And probably even higher than that, at his age, and we know he likes money. We know he likes to, he's tight with his finances for sure. So if he can keep making $50 million and going out there, I think you're going to see him do it for another 3 years or so.
Still flying in the basket, too. I mean,
still dunking on people.
Dunks on the break. It's pretty amazing. It's not like I can see him looking to steal minutes from Matthew Dellavedova down the road. But, the way he's playing, you don't think he was, ever going to have to, exceed to that, because it looks like he's going to be at least a primary player for a long period of time. All right, Sean, always a pleasure. Heavy.com is where we find your work. I know our fans love you, and we thank you so much for joining us here on the program. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, thanks a lot. Sean Deveney, ladies and gentlemen.
So far, it has been an up and down season for the Miami Heat. Literally, they're 1 game over 500. Every time it feels like they could separate from the 500 mark, they fall, like last week when they played the Lakers without Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and fell flat. They've had injury issues of their own. They haven't really had their whole team together, but a positive is Oladipo has been playing really well defensively, and the other night had a really good night offensively. Tyler Hero's taken another step as an all-around offensive player, still working on the defense. Bam, for the most part, has played much better. Still would like to see him be aggressive night in, night out, but Jimmy hasn't had to carry them. Still waiting to see Jimmy, Butler, and that group play more consistently together, but the Miami Heat have shaken off a lot of the rust from the early season. And honestly, if you look at the Eastern Conference, yeah, the Nets have had a nice run, but now Durant has his injury, and you're always waiting for Irving to have his problems. The Cavs, Donovan Mitchell's been amazing, 71 points last week in a game. But again, they're the Cavs, and they're a really young team, and who knows where they'll go. The Celtics have been great all year, but had a struggle the last few weeks. The Miami Heat aren't in a great spot, but they're not in a horrible spot. They're in an interesting position. And Deveney said it. They need to make a move. They wanted to make a move. They wanted to replace P.J. Tucker. Jay Crowder's been a name we've heard a lot about. I'm curious if they can go and get a power forward that, even if they're undersized, a guy that's physical that can take a lot of those demands off of Bam and let him, do his thing offensively and roam a little bit defensively. We'll see if that happens. I never put it past the Heat. The Heat, when they want to make a move, when they quote-unquote need to make a move, they seem to make a move. Looking forward to that move. If you want to look forward to more of us, and we will talk more and more Heat as the days come on, check us out in the morning, 7 to 9 on South Florida Live, the Defo Show with Lubie. Check out our national podcast, the Believe Network, BLEAV.com, and our South Florida skewed content right here, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports, the Defo Show with Lubie.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.